Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney and together we will set up my December bullet journal spread. After grabbing a cup of tea, a Ferrero Rocher, and lighting my candle, I got my supplies together. The star of this month's spread is definitely these Finetec Pearlescent Watercolors. I wanted to embrace a classic Christmas color palette with lots of gold embellishments. Because I wasn't sure which of the golds I wanted to go with, I used my water brush to drop some water in 3 options to activate them. I ended up choosing the middle one because I felt it is the classic Christmas gold, not too yellow or red. Because I like a multimedia approach, I selected some stickers to keep on hand while doing my spreads. I end up using this gold sheet a lot that has months, days, and numbers. And then just a random assortment of red and green markers with different sizes and tips. For my monthly spread, I write out the phrase December goals. I start with the Sharpie highlighter. When using a chiseled nib, it's important that you get the angle of your hold just right so that you can let the pen do the work for you. I switched to a green super tip for the word goals so that I have variation in my line width and color. The next section of my monthly spread is my gratitude log, and I wanted her to sparkle, so I play with watercolor for the lettering. I begin by really ensuring that paint is the correct consistency, meaning that it has enough water and time for the paint pigments to activate. Taking my time, I letter out the word gratitude along the side. This clip is sped up at least 300%, so do not be fooled, it took me at least a couple minutes. When brush lettering, remember to apply more pressure on your downstrokes and less pressure on your upstrokes. When using the Finetec Pearlescent color, I'm just kind of dipping my pen or my brush in the edge of the wet paint because I find that is the most opaque. Adding a few more little adjustment. Look at that shine. So pleased with it. And then my cat Rory decided to stop by and say hello, and I had to protect my tea from cat hair. Setting up my monthly favorites on the next page, I add a little washi tape detail but struggle with the placement. I end up placing it along the side, and I think that looks good. I use a Tombow brush pen in number 249 for the word monthly. With the same color, I go over the letters with the fine tip just to give it a little bit more depth. It doesn't really show up in this clip, but later on you can see the depth. With a cherry red fine liner from the brand Bria Rose, I write the word favorites in block letters. Finally, I add a little more gold to the spread with some simple brush marks. I wait for it to dry a little bit, and before turning the page, I also add a piece of tissue paper so that it can capture any water left over and so that it doesn't transfer to the other side. And that goes for both the marker and for the paint. Next, I spend a few minutes going through all of my weekly spreads to set up my layout. My layout does not change, it's really consistent. I use the left-hand page for the days of the week by splitting it into 7 sections. The top part is used for the mini calendar and the number of the week, and then the following 6 rows, which are 5 boxes high, are used for the days of the week. The last row is split into 2 for the weekends. I leave the pages on the right empty and treat them as a flex space. They can be whatever I want them to be that week. Sometimes it's more of a journal or a memory highlight. Sometimes it's a to-do list. I will add photos, or I don't know, one time I added my Enneagram results on it. Just kind of whatever is going on that week. For the first weekly spread, I am embracing the green and red theme, using a red super tip for the days of the week, and then a green metallic Crayola marker for the month. again, keeping my pressure higher on the downstrokes and lighter on the upstrokes. I use a Uniball gold gel pen for the word week, but I am really fighting it. I love Uniball in general as a brand, but I always struggle with the flow on their metallic gel pens, and I don't know, it's just quite frustrating. For these vertical rectangles, I'm using that same metallic green color to keep the palette consistent within the spread. Then I bring out the golden sticker sheet for the numbers of the week. Before I add some gold watercolor, I need to reactivate the paint a little bit. Water brushes are so handy for this because you can just give them a little squeeze and add a few drops of water. Once the paint is ready, I add some brush strokes to the spread to really make her sparkle. I finished off the spread by adding the first letter of each day of the week. Again, I add a piece of tissue paper between the pages, and then set up the next week. For this one, I'm working with a more limited color palette by focusing mainly on the greens. I use the Tombow brush pen color in 192 for the days and then 249 for the month. When I make my mini calendars, I always try and keep the numbers towards the right-hand side of the squares. I find that it helps keep them aligned and that I have enough space for the 2-digit days. I then go straight in with gold for the number of the week, which was a little intimidating to do without any kind of planning beforehand, but it worked out pretty good. A weekly staple for me is this swash with a brush pen. I just think that it is a cute thing to do. And then this week I also added these little gold balls, which I think ended up turning out like Christmas tree ornaments, so I'm in love with them. I tried to use green machine on top of the dark marker, but it wasn't visible, so instead I used that green machine to write the word week. For the days of the week, I'm keeping my lettering style to a sans serif lowercase, and then I go back in with the gold paint to keep that circle motif going. I mean Christmas ornaments. After waiting for the dark green marker to dry, I use my Posca white paint pen to write out the numbers of the week. Finishing up with a few more details, and then that's it. I put a tissue paper between the pages once again, and then move on to the next week. For this third week, I'm focusing on reds. I start off by using a fine liner for the days of the week, and then attempt to write out the month with a Sharpie. The highlighter immediately just covered it up to make a solid banner instead. I do write out the week number, it is incorrect. I do figure it out later, and I think the cover-up looks way better. As Bob Ross would say, it was a happy accident. To keep my shapes consistent, I go in with a super tip to create that same horizontal rectangle. And then I add a little gold line because I really want to use gold in every single spread. I bring the gold up to the top by writing out the word week. Again, this is sped up, so it took me a little while to get the letters right. I use a black Sharpie fine liner for the numbers because I know that it will show up over top of the red marker. The theme for this week is definitely black, red, and gold, brush lettering, and horizontal blocks. To keep that brush pen lettering flowing throughout the spread, I use it for the days of the week as well. At this point, I realized that I should have wrote 51 and not 52, so I'm using a craft paper sticker to cover up the marker. Some of the red marker didn't get covered up, so I decided to use that as inspiration for these little swirly strokes. I like the variation in line width that I'm getting with the brush pen, and yeah, I just think that they turned out really cute. And then embracing that black brush pen lettering again for the word 51. For the final week, I decided that I was going to use as much gold as I possibly can. So I fought with that Signo gel pen again for the days of the week, and then I use a gold sticker for the month. Once again, I have to reactivate my paint before I use it. But then once I really, have it activated, I'm coming in with just a big blob of gold because like I said, it's the last week of the year, Christmas is in this week, let's just make it as shiny as we can. And also, how satisfying is it that the last day of the year is a Sunday? As someone who starts her week on a Monday, it's just really nice not to have a partial week ending the year. Just going in with the brush pen to add these little brush leaf doodle things. They're fun and easy to do. And then going in with the forest green for 52 and the red for the word week because I still want a hint of those classic Christmas colors. Adding a little bit of a flourish here on the corner just because I can. And then bringing those gold stickers again for the numbers of the week. And then finally using that Uniball gel pen for the days of the week. And there we are, all finished. Look at the shine on the word gratitude. Oh, I love it. I really like how the colors popped. You can see that fine liner over the brush pen there. Just adds a little more depth to it. The first weekly spread is a good combination of both the red and the green, and then of course, our star, the gold. The next week is more focusing on green with those little Christmas ornaments. Adding those little motifs throughout the banner, I think, made the week a little fun. This third week is red with gold and then some black brush lettering. And then the last week, of course, is gold on gold on gold with a hint of classic Christmas colors. You can see that the pearlescent color can just really capture the light. Like, look how sparkly and beautiful that is. So satisfying. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!